This is why Elemental is the most underrated Pixar film. For those of you who've seen it, stay tuned. For those of you who didn't see it, there's going to be spoilers in this one. Hi, welcome. My first time reviewing a movie in so long. Today we're going to be talking about Pixar's Elemental. Now, to be honest, I haven't been moved from a Pixar movie since Up. I miss the times where Pixar used to make movies that hit you emotionally with empathy. Something that really touches the soul, no pun intended. The usual structure of a Pixar film is they love exploring the what ifs in their plots, such as what would happen if this happened or that happened. They just love doing what ifs, and the first Toy Story was their biggest what if. With Elemental, it plays the idea of what would happen if elements lived together in a city. The movie is a love story between a fire girl and a water boy. While we're talking about all four elements, there are very human aspects that are very relatable. The plot of the film is there are two people from Fireland named Bernie and Cinder. These two immigrate to a place called Elemental City, a big city where elements live together. There, Bernie and Cinder seek a better life. Pixar's main what if in this film is how can fire, water, earth, and air live together harmoniously? In this story, Bernie and Cinder, as well as the fire people, are isolated from the other elements. Because they're fire, the other element people are afraid of them, they're different, and because they can't help it, they set things on fire.
Hey, watch it, Sparky!
However, the second what if that is, what would happen if a water guy fell in love with a fire girl? Fire and water are total opposites of each other. Water puts out fire, fire boils and evaporates water. Now, despite the challenges that happen, the water guy is insistent of hanging out with the fire girl. This happens throughout the entire story. The plot really is a love story. The love story between the fire girl named Ember, who is our protagonist, and Wade, who is the water boy that falls in love with Ember. This was something I wasn't expecting in a Pixar film. They were mostly showing the protagonist becoming a better person. This one, however, had me at the edge of my seat, and that's very rare. It's very rare for me because in the film, Wade didn't care if Ember was fire, and he didn't care if he was water. All he wanted to do was just hang out with her because he admired her. In the film, they bond, but there are three sequences that I listed where they bonded the most. The first is where they find the water leak to Watertown by riding a hot air balloon. That includes where they were hanging out on the beach trying to get more sandbags for that leak. The second was at Wade's house, where Ember gets to meet Wade's family. The third sequence, and this is the one I was most surprised, was where Ember gets to see the Vivisteria tree. Now, the last two sequences that I listed down were the ones that I remember the most. When Ember meets Wade's family, she gets to show them her hidden talent, which is glassmaking. Wade's mom was kind enough that she actually offered her a job in the big city. With the Vivisteria flower sequence, this is the part where it had me on the edge of my seat. Earlier in the film, Ember explained that she and her family could not see the Vivisteria tree because the other elemental people were afraid they might burn it down. Sadly, the exhibit was shut down because it was overflown with water. With the help of Wade's boss, Ember was able to see the Vivisteria tree. It's also kind of heartbreaking because love comes with great sacrifices. Sometimes in life, you have to make sacrifices to be with one another. Ember wanted to be with Wade, but she didn't want to risk killing him. Ember and Wade took the risk and touched. Fortunately, nothing happened and no one got hurt. They changed each other's chemistry. Wade was able to explain to Ember's community that they were meant to be with each other through Cinder's readings and at Bernie's retirement ceremony. In the end, Ember realizes her mistakes and she confesses her love for Wade. Then the two become official. I want to talk about the animation in this film because I don't actually focus on animation unless it's made in 2D. But with this film, I was focusing a lot. I do know for a fact that when it comes to Pixar films compared to what Disney does with their films, every character looks different from each other. That way it determines which character is who. What I like about the animation is that it's a combination of 2D and 3D. With the Fire People, there are two prime examples. There's Ember and Bernie. If you pay attention very closely, all of them are outlined. Their noses, their eyes, their mouth, so everything is kind of hand-drawn. The one thing that's 3D is the fire inside them. That indicates that they're alive. It was pretty smart of the animators to use the strength of the flames to determine their emotions. Anger is explosive brightness and smoke, especially when Ember turns into a flammable blue.
Take breath, make connection!
When it comes to sadness, the flame starts to dim down. The biggest one is passion. When they're feeling passionate about something, you see the aurora borealis reflecting off the walls. Water's a little complicated because they don't have outlines. One thing's for sure is that they are made of rounded shapes, which are total opposites of fire. But to show that they're alive are the constant bubbles from the bottom to the top. So it's trickling from their feet to all the way up to their heads. The best part about the water people is the more water, the bigger. For example, when Ember and Wade find the leak, Wade uses that ability to block all the water coming into Firetown. I'm going to talk a little bit about Earth and Air because we only saw 2 Earth characters and 1 Air character that were very key to the story. We have Claude and Fern. Claude is the little kid that likes to hang out at the fire shop, and Fern is the coworker that works with Wade. Then there's Gail, who happens to be Wade's boss, and she's a cloud. With the Earth people, I do love the jokes that happen when it comes to fire. Like, for instance, when Ember enters Fern's office, everything is made of household plants and trees, and then when she touches them, everything just burns, including Fern's mustache. Everything just burns into fire. Then there's the armpit hair gag, which indicates that Claude is a man.
Ow, my queen.
So that was very well thought out. Gail was very thought out too because, like Ember, she shows anger too. For instance, when she turns angry, she turns into a dark gray cloud with lightning bolting from her body.
Bring some wind!
One of the best things I've seen with Gail is that she provides the way to have Ember see the Vivisteria tree, and that's a bubble. And that's a bubble inside water. After watching the movie, I decided to watch the documentary on Peter Sohn. If you don't know who he is, he's the director of Elemental. He's also one of the few people that work in the Pixar studio. He became big by creating art for Pixar's Up, and he directed The Good Dinosaur. He did some voice work too, but the one voice that I absolutely remember was him voicing Emile in Pixar's Ratatouille.
I don't really know.
Quite the shocker, right? The documentary is Peter Sohn taking us on a tour on where he grew up. It also talks about how he got into animation and how he and his family struggled after immigrating to the United States of America. This documentary gave me a better understanding of Elemental. And I never knew what it was like to immigrate from another country to America. What I got from the movie is that I had to watch the movie at least 5 times to understand. And this is one of the few movies that you have to put on while you're having a bad day. The movie was really about how hard life is for people from other countries coming to America. My family, who lived the same background, knew what it was like. It also shows how bad it was for Asian Americans living in a big city like New York. I knew what that was like because as a kid, everyone used to make fun of me because I was Asian. It was very hard for someone like me to get along with other kids. Today I don't have that problem because if someone shoots racial slurs to me, I just kind of laugh it off. It will only feed them if I react badly. The point of the film is that everyone deserves happiness, no matter where you come from. I hope you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, even comment. Thanks for watching.